This is It's Not What You Know. Hello, I'm Miles Jupp. It's often said that it's not what you know, it's who you know. This is why you'll frequently hear the following happy exchange. Does anyone here know CPR? No, but I have a friend who's a big fan of Holby City. Likewise, who wouldn't have sympathy for a man who said, no, I don't know anything about the ethics of privacy, but I do know someone who has the mobile phone numbers of anyone who's ever done a thing ever. Or if you're asked, do you know how to run the Labour Party, you should never be too embarrassed to reply, no, but my brother is David Miliband. In this show, each of our three panellists has nominated one of their nearest and dearest to answer questions about their relationship in an effort to prove how well they know each other. Each panellist will get points for correctly guessing which questions their nominee knew the answers to and which they didn't. Tonight's winner will receive a handcrafted It's Not What You Know cheese board. Contestants, please note the cheese board is not a toy, is unsuitable for outdoor use and should never be used in conjunction with any dairy products. Well, let's meet tonight's guests then. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Steele, Rachel Johnson and Des Lynam. We turn first to Mark Steele, a man whose 25-year career has seen him firmly established among the top two British left-wing stand-up comics called Mark. Now, Comrade Steele, did you find it hard to choose a trusted fellow traveller for tonight's show?
No, I had a fair idea who it was that I should pick, really. It's someone who I see quite a lot and who humiliates me with great regularity. And I thought I should give him a chance to do so on radio, really.
Well, let's find out who you've chosen.
My name's Elliot Steele. I'm from Croydon. I'm 15 years old. I've known Mark for 15 years. He's unfortunately my dad.
Welcome, Elliot. Rachel Johnson, journalist, novelist, editor-in-chief of The Lady, and as the sister of Boris, living proof that in the Johnson family, charm, grace, wit and good looks are the province of the female line alone. How did you make your nomination?
I think an old friend is someone you've known since you were 14, and I've known her since I was in my 30s. And I think she's the only person I know who's sensible enough never to have read a word I've written. And therefore, we've remained on the best of terms for the extent of our long friendship.
Well, let's hear for ourselves. Rachel Johnson, the person that you've nominated is?
I'm Fiona Mates. I'm a cook from Bayswater, London, and I'm one of Rachel's great friends.
There we are. Rachel's great friend, Fiona Mates. They're a cook from Bayswater, which is like Notting Hill, but without the oiks. And finally, Des Lynam, a legendary sports broadcaster, TV presenter and defender of two traditions many believed extinct, the value of decent British fair play and the moustache. Des, what were your criteria when making your nomination?
Well, I suppose I wanted somebody who knew me well, obviously, who was a kind of busybody, not too intelligent. This person fits the bill.
Well, let's meet them. Des Lynam, the person who you've opted for.
My name's Jane Morgan. I'm from London, and I am Des's agent.
Well, would you believe it? At times, Winged Chariot is hastening towards us once again, but before we leave you, there is just time for the entire show. So, with everyone in place, we begin, some would say foolishly, with round one, which is called It's What They Know. For this round, we've asked your nominees some questions about you. All you need to do is guess how they responded. Mark Steele, you're first up. We asked your son, Elliot, what did you give your father for Christmas this year? What do you think he said?
I know what he did give me, but I can't imagine that he's just going to go for the simple answer, I would think. There's probably a whole series of answers he gave related to pornography and things like that. Well, the real answer was that he got me a little set of headphones.
Well, let's see, that's right. Elliot Steele, what did you give your father for Christmas this year?
A pair of headphones. They were free from Orange.
Clearly a wonderful relationship you have with your son, Mark, one that's unhampered by any suggestion of respect.
Exactly. You did very well to get social services to allow him to do this, really. I haven't seen him for 8 years.
Next, we turn to Rachel Johnson. Rachel, we asked your friend Fiona, where did you and Rachel meet and under what circumstances? What answer do you think she gave?
In 1997, we were posted to Washington, D.C., and whenever I told anybody I was moving to Washington, D.C., they said, "Oh, you'll be fine. Fiona Mates lives in Washington, D.C." So I attempted to telephone her so I could say, "I'm coming," and everyone says we're going to be friends. Anyway, it turned out that she had a Russian housekeeper, and every time I rang, the Russian housekeeper said, "Not, Fiona, not here," and hung the phone up. So I went to Washington without having made contact with Mrs. Mates. But, as luck would have it, on the first day of primary school, there was Fiona Mates. And I think that's how we met. But I could be wrong. What does she say? It's obviously completely different.
Extraordinary to go through all of that and it was all made up.
I know. No, I wouldn't make that.
Well, Rachel's friend Fiona Mates, how did you and Rachel meet?
Rachel broke into my house.
It's true, actually, yeah.
What? I always think there's such a fine line, isn't there, between meet and greet and break and enter.
I broke in and I stole food from her fridge. What else did she say?
So all of that other stuff was a lie?
Is that all she said? I just broke into her house?
We can, in fact, listen to what Fiona said.
She kept calling me up, and our nanny, who was a mad Russian, would say, "No, she's not here." So finally Rachel came round and let herself in.
At one point, I think we can all agree. Des Lynham. Sir Des. What, may I call you Sir Des? It seems premature, but carries with it the smack of inevitability. Sir Des, we asked your agent, Jane Morgan, what's the most ridiculous job Des has ever been offered? The present situation mercifully accepted. How do you think she answered?
I don't really know. The worst job I've ever been offered. I was once offered the presentation of Crime Watch. And this chap came to see me and he said, we're starting this new programme on BBC One. We're going to deal with the police and crimes and all that sort of thing. I said, "Oh, yeah." And he said, "We'd like you to present it." I said, "It'll never work. It'll never catch on." So I turned it down, and 20 years later, it's still going. 30 years later.
I'm really excited about the idea of you. If you say, "Don't have nightmares," just how reassured, as the people of Britain, we would
Don't
feel.
have nightmares and sleep well.
Oh, you'd feel wonderful.
It's a piece of cake, actually. I could have done it, couldn't I? Did she say that?
Jane, what's the most ridiculous job Des has ever been offered?
Oh, to go into the jungle, to be a nine celebrity to get me out of here.
Right, yeah, well, I was offered that, but most people in television are offered all those kind of shows. Dancing, cooking, can't dance, can't cook, don't like jungle, so I'm...
I think you'd be right in there. Or would you worry about, if you're in the jungle, your smooth exterior would crumble under the pressure and you'd end up getting Patsy Palmer in a headlock or something?
I'd worry about the other people, because as I get older, I get more and more bad-tempered and grumpy, so I'd last about a day before I hit somebody, I should think.
I think that's put your price up.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'd quite like to hit Ant and Dec, because when eventually I find out which is which, I'm going to thump them.
There's no points, I'm afraid, but a fascinating insight into the way that your mind works. Back around once more to Brother Mark. We asked Elliot, what annoys your dad most about modern life? What do you think he said?
Oh, he's got a great choice there. I think he'd have said that he finds it hilarious watching me try to get anything technological to work at all, any new object. He found it hilarious, for example, when I was trying to get an iTunes account going and I was sort of screaming and throwing bits of computer backwards and forwards. And he said, "Oh, I wish I could film this and show it to all me mates." In fact, I think he probably did.
Well, it turns out, according to Elliot, the answer is this.
Call centres. Yeah, it's call centres.
Call centres.
Yeah.
There we were, imagining it might be the rise of globalisation or the terrible atrocities perpetrated in the name of capitalism. But no, what really gets the go to Britain's firebrand lefty comic Mark Up the USSR Steel. The sinister menace that is UK call centres.
Yes, well, I should imagine if Karl Marx, he was lucky he didn't have to deal with the call centre.
Rachel, we asked your friend Fiona the following question. On what day is Rachel's birthday? Do you think she knows?
No. I know hers. I do.
This word friend...
When is your birthday, may I ask?
It's the day that Britain declared war on Germany, i.e., obviously, everyone knows, 3rd of September. I'm not going to give the year I was born.
Yeah, 1965. Well, this could be awkward. Fiona Mates, when is Rachel Johnson's birthday?
God, that's such a mean question. Okay, it's in September. Now I'm going to have to guess. 23rd?
I think she gets 3/4 of a point.
And, well, of course, the question was, do you think she knows? And you said no, and she didn't.
So I win.
So you get 2 points. Finally, in this round, we turn our rapt attentions once again to Des Lynham, lovely Des, one of an increasing number of middle-aged men who have just got sick of hosting Countdown. Des, we asked your agent, Jane, if Des had to enter an event in the Olympics, what would it be? What do you suppose she suggested?
Well, when I was a kid, I did a little bit of schoolboy boxing, the finest laxative known to man. And so I suppose I probably might have a go at boxing.
Jane, if Des had to enter an event in the Olympics, what would it be?
At which he'd be most successful, boxing.
I would have honed the skills to hit Ant and Dec properly then, you see.
If you were a boxer, would you have a boxing name, Des? Would you be
Killer.
Killer?
Mostly because I didn't wash my shorts a lot. That was...
2 points and no bonus for detail. Well, I don't think it would be too indiscreet at this point for me to describe this as the end of round 1. So let's take a look at the scores at the end of that round, which have been calculated and independently verified by the Arbitration and Conciliation Service, ACAS. Met up with them earlier in the week, great bunch of lads. Not just great at handling the thornier parts of employment law. Seriously, if you want some guys to share a mixed grill and a few frames of 10-pin bowling with, you could do a lot worse. And we can see that in third place are Mark and Elliot, in second place Rachel and Fiona, but way out in front, Des and Jane. Now, I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I think I'd get pretty good odds on it being time for round 2, which is called It's Now What You Know. And in this round, it's all change, by which I mean it differs slightly. We're going to find out how well each of our panellists knows their nominee. We start this time with Rachel Johnson. Let's find out how well you know your friend Fiona Mates. And to that end, we asked Fiona which would she prefer, 5 minutes with God or the rest of her life with George Clooney? Which way do you think she went, God or George? Does she talk about either of them ever?
I don't think she's religious, although she did once make me go to a church service in Bayswater, where she lives, which was known as the animal service, and everybody who rode in Hyde Park took their horses and dogs.
We do the same in Swanley every week.
I am going for God.
Let's see, Fiona?
Oh, George Clooney.
I've lost.
Des, next question for you. We asked Jane, which would you prefer, to have Heston Blumenthal cook your lunch for a month? By which I think that means cooks your lunch every day for a month, not just spend a whole month preparing lunch. What an imposition that would be, having him in the house. To have Heston Blumenthal cook your lunch for a month, or be a passenger on the first commercial flight into space. Which one do you think she went for?
She might like to combine the two, going to space with Hester Blumenthal, I don't know. I think she'd probably go into space. She's quite an ambitious girl, you know.
OK, Jane, Heston or Houston?
I'd rather have Heston Blumenthal cook for me. I'm a little bit nervous of the unknown.
Nervous of the unknown?
About that.
Oh, well, I'm very sorry.
I thought you were going to ask me about God and George Clooney for her, actually, because I would have known the answer to that.
For your agent or yourself?
For my agent, yeah, because I don't think she believes in God necessarily, but she'd certainly get down on her knees for George Clooney.
Goodness.
I,
for one, am having an evening I will not forget. And Mark Steele, you may think you know your son Elliot well. Let's see if we can't puncture that illusion. We asked Elliot, who's the celebrity you'd most like to meet? What do you think he said? Mark, the agony that crosses your face when you're thinking about answers to these. It's just a quiz, Mark. And you're going, oh, God.
There'll be nothing to the agony when I get in. He loves Russell Howard. He may have said that. He may have said someone just to be mischievous, of course.
Who might that be?
Boris Johnson.
I can arrange that.
Well, let's see, Elliot Steele. Who is the celebrity you'd most like to meet?
Boris Johnson.
I'm torn. I mean,
By what?
Well, by the fact, on the one hand, the competitive nature in me is glad to have got the 2 points.
And now you...
On the other hand, I have to break off all relations with my own son.
I think your son gives his reasoning.
Because I just think he's so funny that if you had him round for dinner, it'd be like all of the episodes of Come Dine With Me into one.
Little does he know that we have someone on the panel who has had dinner with Boris Johnson countless times. And we're all wondering, Des, what do you two talk about? 2 points to Mark, absolutely right. Now, I know many of us feel we'd like to live in round 2 forever. It's a round we've all come to call home. But like so many thatched cottages along a proposed high-speed rail route, it must be bulldozed in the name of progress. Its legacy lives on, however, in the shape of these scores. In third place, it is Rachel and Fiona. In second place, Mark and Elliot. And out in the lead, Des and Jane. If this next round had a name, it'd be called It's Not Who You Know. It doesn't, though. It's just round 3. This time, our panellists have to use all their genius guile and, most likely, let's be frank about this, guesswork to answer questions about the other nominees using the information they've already gleaned from the previous rounds. Guess what's happening, though? We've gone buzzer crazy. It's a buzzer round now. So think about all you've heard from the nominees so far and see if you can work this out. Who told us that their motto is go out, get fresh air? Mark.
I think it would be Fiona, I would imagine.
Well, let's see who it is.
Go out, get fresh air.
Here we are, Fiona Mates with her go out and get fresh air mantra. Correct. Do you want to hear what the other mottos are? Jane, what's your motto?
Carpe diem.
There we are.
Seize the day.
Yeah, I know what it means, Jane. Elliot, what's your motto?
Never do it without an alibi.
I think you should put that boy out to work immediately.
2 points for Mark. And now, who told us that if forced to participate in karaoke, the song they would sing is La Bamba by Richie Valens? Just to help you really get under the skin of this question, here's a snatch of the song. Which of our nominees can you picture warbling that ditty? Des.
Probably Elliot. He sounds the sort of guy who'd knock that tune out. Yeah, definitely.
Well, it's a good answer. Let's put it to the test.
La Bamba.
I'm afraid it's Des's agent, Jane Morgan.
What? Are you serious?
I'm serious. That's her choice. Jane would have opted to sing La Bamba, a song made famous by Richie Valens and Los Lobos, and whose title translates loosely into English as The Bamba. Apply yourself to this one. Who said that the Olympic event they would most like to participate in would be the gymnastic event known as the ribbon? Mark.
I think that it was Desi's agent would say that. She sounds feisty, is that the right word? Something, No, I'm trying to be complimentary here, but something, that's something you would think, oh, yeah.
Jane on ribbons.
But what is the ribbon? What is the ribbon
ribbons
event?
where you sort of dance around on the
rhythmic gymnastics, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Let's find out.
I'll do that with my shoelaces when I do them up.
I'm afraid you've been told wrong in there.
I was underestimating the desire to be sarcastic.
No points there, I'm afraid, Mark. Well, what a year it's been for rounds ending. Only a scant few moments ago, we were mourning the loss of round 2, and here we are, brought together once more, united in grief as we lay to rest round 3. Time then once again to review the scores, which this time have been calculated and independently verified by the compilers of the Gas Safe Register, formerly Corgi. Met up with them earlier in the week. Let me tell you, great bunch of lads. Not big drinkers. We all met up for a smoothie and then ended up hitting a nail bar. Wouldn't have been my choice, but perfectly enjoyable. And we can see that in third place it is Rachel, Fiona. In second place, Mark and Elliot. But still, way out in front, it's Des and Jane. Now, anyone who suffers from dizziness and shortness of breath when they hear the words, it's time for round 4, won't thank me for saying this, but it's time for round 4. This round sees us introducing a mystery guest. Not a friend or family member, but someone we all know just as well. How shall I describe this person? The word celebrity seems too cheap, the word hero too modest, the word icon too confusing with its religious connotations. So let's hear who it is.
I'm Michael Winner, film director and general nuisance.
Michael Winner. Michael Winner. We asked Michael Winner what his motto in life was. Fingers on the buzzers if you've got an idea what Michael might have said. Rachel.
Winner takes all.
Let's ask Michael.
Be cheerful and try and bring a little good cheer to others.
Like him.
So Michael Winner's motto is to bring a bit of cheer to others, and it works. I must say, after my last viewing of Michael Winner's Death Wish, a film featuring multiple brutal murders and sexual assaults, I left the cinema with a spring in my step and a great big grin on my silly face. We asked Michael Winner, what is your least favourite food? Des.
Eggs.
Let's find out from Michael.
I'm not mad about anything green, but broccoli is the most offensive.
Here we are, Michael Winner doesn't like broccoli. And if that little fact floats your boat, be sure to check out the It's Not What You Know book of least favourite foods of British film directors of the 60s and 70s. You can find out what happens when you serve Stanley Kubrick a Viennetta. Not a pretty sight. The book features a gag-packed, if slightly self-regarding forward by Director of Public Prosecutions Keir Starmer QC. I would tell you the recommended retail price, but since they abandoned the netbook agreement, it hardly seems worth it. See if you can second-guess Michael Winner on this one. Who do you prefer, Jamie Oliver, Delia Smith, or Hugh Fernley-Whittingstall? Des.
I think he likes the ladies, doesn't he? Probably Delia.
Well, I can't fault you on the logic. Let's see what Michael said.
They're all very good at talking about food. Cooks should stay in the kitchen and shut up. They've never said an intelligent word in their lives, any of them.
I'm going to have to push you for an answer, Michael.
I think I'd have Jamie Oliver, because at least he appears to be cheerful.
There we are. Jamie Oliver, of course, not merely a chef, but also a man who's done more than anyone else to highlight the terrible problem of irritating Mockney gentlemen appearing in our nation's schools. And finally in this round, let's see if we can work out this one. We asked Michael, which of these is your favourite, Mrs. Thatcher or Meryl Streep? Rachel.
Mrs. Thatcher.
Thatcher, he loved Thatcher.
Let's hear Michael.
Oh, Mrs. Thatcher, I adore Mrs. Thatcher. Don't introduce Mr. Winner to me. I know Mr. Winner very well. Oh, she was wonderful.
That is why tomorrow I am going to eat a whole bowl of broccoli as a protest.
It's time to take a look at the scores, which on this occasion, as it's a celebrity round, have been independently verified by a celebrity. Former Governor of the Bank of England, Eddie George. I was drinking with him the other night, actually. Let me tell you, he is a great bunch of lads. Told me how nice it was to be doing something that had nothing to do with money for a change, because in this game, you can get pigeonholed. I should just add on a lighter note, he's an advocate of fiscal reform. And we can see that in third place, Rachel, Fiona. Second place, Des and Jane. Suddenly, striding ahead, they just found form. It's Mark and Elliot. And now we come to the final round of the evening, a round for which tonight's other rounds were merely an overlong and inadequate warm-up. This round is called simply The Big One. We asked all the nominees the same question, a question so big some dare not even acknowledge its existence, and judging from some of the answers our panel's nominees gave, a question that has never even crossed their minds. The question is as follows. How much is a pint of milk? Now, I don't know if there's any interference on your radios at home, listeners, but the atmosphere in the room at the moment is electric. As the enormity of that question slowly dawns on our panel. But don't worry, panellists, you're not on your own. By way of a control, we asked Michael Winner how much he thought a pint of milk cost, and this is what he kindly told us.
How much does a pint of milk cost? I don't know. Does anybody know? 50 quid? Threepence? What? I don't know.
Well, there we are. That's pretty helpful. Two answers we got there from Michael Winner, 50 quid and threepence. Now, I have the pint of milk in question here. It's a perfectly ordinary pint bought from a corner shop in London earlier today. This pint of milk cost 39p. The nominee who got closest to that amount wins the points for their panellist. So, Mark, how do you think Elliot fared? Have you managed to pass on to your son the robust sense of household economics?
I think he wouldn't be far out. I don't know, 45 pence. That's my guess of what he said.
Very good. That's the rules. How about you, Rachel? Do you think Fiona knows her cow juice?
Probably, because she does food shopping, her job. So I would have said, she would have said 40p.
40p, you think? Des, do you think Jane's got it in her to pick up the points?
I don't think she'd have known. I think she has people to do that sort of thing for her, shopping and stuff. I would say she didn't have a clue.
OK, let's find out the price of a pint of milk according to Elliot Steele.
£1.29.
Mark, it's not fair for you to look that disappointed in someone.
That's probably because that's how much he takes. And then comes back and goes, yeah, but I bought a pint of milk.
Rachel, here's Fiona's response.
Don't know, £1.20.
I am shocked.
Professional chef Fiona guessed £1.20.
Unbelievable. Are you sure you didn't say 4 pints?
I'm going to be honest, it's not me that does the ringing.
Other people to do that.
I said to them, guys, I said I'd love to come in earlier, see anything I can do to help, but no, actually... yes, Rachel, Fiona guessed £1.20. A closer guess than Elliot, that's for sure, but in the same way that in the answer to the question of which country is Paris the capital, a closer guess would be Vietnam if the original guess was the Philippines. The points could be yours, Rachel Johnson, unless Des Lynam's agent, Jane Morgan, beats you to the milky punch. Let's hear what Jane said.
I don't drink milk. 33p.
Jane got closest with 33p. She doesn't even drink milk. What a woman, what an agent. And she probably knew it was 39 anyway, but knocked off 15% from force of habit. All of which means that's the end of the round and the end of the show. The points have been gathered in and have since received, let me tell you, the totting of a lifetime. We can see that in third place, just missing out on a position on our partially assembled, currently two-person podium, is Rachel. In second place, just outside the top one, is Mark. Which means that this week's winner is Des. So, Des Lynam, you come away with a taste of victory and the potential taste of whatever cheese you choose to adorn the It's Not What You Know cheese board. Patent pending, users must be 18 or over. Thank you to our panellists, Mark Steele and his son Elliot, Rachel Johnson and her best friend Fiona Mates, and Des Lynam and his agent Jane Morgan. Huge thanks to our celebrity guest Michael Winner, and to you for listening. I guess after all, it just goes to show it's not what you know. Good night.